Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to tell you everything about the game Traversal. Well, mostly everything. Traversal is a game that was released on the 4th of April 2024, made by the well-known creator Octic. Octic is the same creator behind the games Containment and Confinement, which are very well-made games that both have interesting elements to them. In Containment, most of the game revolves around puzzles, which then leads to a boss fight at the end. In Confinement, most of the game revolves around combat, where the protagonist uses an axe to defeat monsters. And now in Traversal, we see a mix of stealth and combat, and the detail in this game is heavily increased from Containment and Confinement. I'm going to separate Traversal's gameplay into 4 parts, the first being the funeral home, the second being the warehouse, the third being the mansion, and the fourth being the library. Now let's get into it. The game begins with the player waking up in some sort of jail room with a locked door. The player walks up to the window and receives a knife from a mysterious man. The player then uses this knife to unlock the door, where we can find the first enemy in the game. The game tells you to walk up behind this enemy and perform a stealth kill on him, but you can engage in a fight. The player then advances to the next floor, where we can see this enemy banging their head on the wall. The player will silently take down this guy and kill the other 2 as well. Now we get to the much bigger part of the funeral home, where we have 2 paths to take. The left path leads you to this attic-looking area with a trap enemy setting up that will attack you if you step in its line of sight. The right path leads you down and into more of the central area, where many enemies are patrolling. If you enter a room in the back, you'll be able to find a katana, which is arguably the best weapon, but beware, as there is also a trap enemy there as well. Either way you choose, the door will be guarded by an enemy. If you manage to get past this enemy, then you will have to unlock the door, but it requires a crowbar. One of the enemies in this funeral home will have the crowbar, and if you kill them, you'll be able to take it from them. After unlocking the door, you'll be able to move on to the next section. After your character crosses a large field, you will arrive at the warehouse, where you will also find a checkpoint. The warehouse is one of the shorter parts, but there are lots of enemies. There are 2 main groups of enemies, the ones in the front area and the ones by the fire. After killing the ones in the front, you can hide in a shadow in the back and take out the other enemies. And again, one will have the crowbar, which opens the next door. After escaping the warehouse, the player will stumble upon the courtyard, with enemies patrolling outside and in the gates. However, since there is an incredibly large shadow in the right entrance area, you can hide in there while killing the enemies. Once you do that, you'll find a door, and through that door another door that requires a knife to unlock it. Through this door, there will be a large stairwell, with surprisingly no enemies throughout the house. However, if you go up the stairwell here, you can find a mini boss fight with a bunny. This bunny has a chainsaw, and if you manage to defeat it, then you can keep the chainsaw for the rest of the game. But on the lower level of the house, you'll find a large door in the middle, leading to the final area. This area begins with a small room that contains a long pillar in the middle. On either side of this pillar, there are shadows. 2 enemies are guarding this door, however this door does not require a crowbar. After defeating these enemies, you'll enter a room with a large security camera. If you step in this camera's line of sight, 4 enemies will be alerted to your location. Now, onto the actual library itself. This library contains lots of enemies, and it is a giant maze which most struggle on. However, if you manage to unlock the final door, the game ends with this cutscene. The man with the red face from the beginning opens a briefcase in front of you with no sign of what this item actually is. Then he turns to look at the camera, and the game ends. This was a bit of a short walkthrough, but I don't have too much time to record this, and I was hoping to cover the basics of everything in the game. And that is the basics of everything that there is to offer in Traversal, I suppose. Goodbye. I hope to see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.